Okay, we're back once again with Doc, and we're going to look at Jeff Beck. Um, Doc's a big fan. I've always enjoyed Jeff Beck. I probably got into him probably after high school. I would say is when I first got really into him. Made the Wired record, but so we're going to start with that, and we might as well start with the beginning. Jeff Beck, of course, started out with the Yardbirds. He replaced Eric Clapton, which is a hard thing to really say that he replaced. But as most of you should know, that Yardbirds are kind of like the grandfather of all the rock bands, right? I mean, they had Eric Clapton, they had Jeff Beck, and they had Jimmy Page.
And for a short time, they had Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page at the same time. And Jimmy Page actually played bass at first just because he wanted to play in the band, but then they realized, well, we have these two phenomenal guitar players. Maybe we should, utilize that. So they got somebody else to play bass. But
yeah, so yeah, he's on this one, Over Under Sideways Down. It's got Jeff's Boogie on side 2. That's, I'm sure, something he wrote. But
yeah, it's kind of a rockabilly sort of a thing.
Fun! I love that stuff.
Yeah, and so one thing I admire about Jeff Beck was that he's always been his own man and his own musician. And even though when he went into the Yardbirds to replace Eric Clapton, he was very young. I don't even know if he was 21 yet. And the Yardbirds would say, oh, well, Eric didn't play it like that. And basically Jeff Beck would go, well, that's too bad. This is how I'm going to play it, And it wasn't that he didn't admire Eric Clapton or anything, but he was like, oh, I'm just the guy. And on one of the, oh, gosh, I can't think of which song it is now. They hired a sitar player, because it was in the 60s when a lot of bands were doing that kind of thing. And they didn't like the way the guy was sounding. And Jeff said, I can sound like that on the guitar. And he did, and so they just sent the sitar player home. So
that's cool. So here's Jeff Beck, Truth. And it's also got Beckola on it. It's like a double.
Great albums.
And there's the original Beckola. Do you know which one's first, Beckola or?
I think Beckola was, but
okay.
Not positive about that. Yeah, Jeff Beck kind of discovered Rod Stewart, and he has said, even though he's worked with some vocalists over the rest of his career, he never had a regular singer in his band. And part of it, he said, well, I had the best singer there was, and so
Although he was really shy back then. I've heard stories of him turning backstage, Rod Stewart turning backstage and singing behind the stage kind of stuff.
Yeah, I heard at the Fillmore West they played, and he basically hid behind the speakers, which is pretty amazing considering what he was like later in his career.
Yeah,
wasn't shy about anything.
Hot legs. Here we go. And Truth has Shape of Things on it, so he looks like he might have been leaning back toward the Yardbird stuff, because that wasn't on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Shape of Things is the tune I was talking about with the sitar sound, but I can't remember exactly. Now, does that one have Carmen Apice on it? Is he playing drums?
Oh, I would let me.
Oh no, that's later. That's
J.P.
Beck
Jones on the organ.
Beck, Bogart, and Apice. Sorry.
But there's a couple of pictures of them.
Well, and an interesting thing about the Jeff Beck group is that they were slated to play at Woodstock.
Oh.
And Jeff pulled them out because he didn't think they were good enough. And the other guys were pretty annoyed by that. But, Jeff held by his decision the rest of his life. He said, we would have been up there, they would have filmed it, and it would be in that movie forever. And, he was quite the perfectionist. So
right, you don't want to see someone stumbling along. Let's see, where do we want to go next? I think I will go to.
You got Blow by Blow.
I got Blow by Blow. You want to do Blow by Blow?
Yeah, I think that one came out first.
Okay.
Before Wired, I think.
Well, we also Jeff here. We do. I'm changing
Oh,
all
the
up as I
Orange
look here. I
album.
don't have these really in any order here. So here's Jeff Beck Group. As he had Jeff Beck Group, and then went more into his own solo thing later. I'm checking to see if this says Carmen.
No, it's
Yeah, you're right. It's
forget.
Max Middleton on piano and Bob Tench and Clive. And so Jeff
Cozy
Beck-
Powell's playing.
Cozy
Who
Powell's
is?
doing drums.
You should show him the back and show him these pictures because Cozy Powell and Jeff Beck are like doppelgangers. They almost look like the same person.
Yeah,
You know?
I
So,
see that.
but yeah, another great record. Still rock.
Yeah, a lot of blues in there.
Yeah. But I mean, it hadn't moved. He hadn't really moved completely into his fusion phase
Right.
yet. So there's Beck, Bogart, and Appice. I met Carmen Appice several years ago at a NAMM, the North American Music Merchandising. And the way I recognized him is because his facial hair has not changed since like 1968. He's got these kind of weird sideburns that come out and then go into a mustache. But he was just sitting there, and so I went up and said, "Hi." I wish I had something he could have autographed, but
This I don't know what. Here's a record. I'm not even sure. It says Jeff Beck Group. It's got Rod Stewart, Ron Wood, Nicky Hopkins. So I'm produced by Mickey Most.
yeah,
So this has got to be somewhat early.
yeah, pretty early. I mean, look at his haircut.
Yeah, Jailhouse Rock, Spanish Boots. So yeah, an earlier one. And there's the actual original copy of Truth. So I might have to get rid of one of those. I don't know. That'd seems kind of wrong. Okay, let's go to Blow by Blow.
So Blow by Blow was pretty important because that was when Jeff went into, for lack of a better term, sort of the fusion thing. He was influenced by John McLaughlin and the Mahavishnu Orchestra. I think they might have played on the same bill or something, but he certainly had heard of him, and he thought, I want to make music like that. And so he started doing these things on Blow by Blow that were quite a bit different. And, started to really push the boundaries of guitar technique. And I would like to throw in here that I think one reason that I am such a big Jeff Beck fan is that he has this phenomenal technique, totally unique, but it's always subservient to the music. He's never playing something just to go, look at me, look how fast I can play, or, it's always serving the music. And for those of you that follow other guitar gods or would-be gods that shall remain nameless, there are several that, it's like, I admire that they could play that fast. I wish I could, but it doesn't do anything for me musically. Whereas everything that Jeff Beck did always, moved me musically. And that's, I think, one reason that I've always admired him. And you might, if you put that up, like the back. So this is the famous Oxblood Les Paul guitar. The rest of Jeff's career, he mostly played Stratocasters and occasionally a Telecaster and a few other Jackson or whatever. But this guitar was a Les Paul that I believe had been painted, and it was pretty famous because of being on this cover. But it was after this that he really went more to playing a Stratocaster probably 90% of the time.
And then Wired.
Yeah, and then Wired was the follow-up. He's still playing the Les Paul on this one, at least on the back cover. But Wired...
a little change in personnel.
Yeah, and he's added Jan Hammer, who was the great keyboard player. And for all you total trivia nerds out there, he's the guy that wrote the theme to Miami Vice, the TV show in the 80s or whenever that was. And so, see, on the front cover, he's playing his Strat, and on the back cover, he's got his Oxblood Les Paul. But uh, yeah, this is a great album, and I see Narada Michael Walden is on a couple of tracks. I
Right.
saw Jeff Beck several years ago here in Seattle, and Narada Michael Walden was playing with him again, which was really cool to see. Um, and But yeah, this album was pretty. I mean, both Blow by Blow and Wired set up Jeff as, the musician's musician kind of, So
And didn't he have a little flow between tunes, or am I forgetting? I mean, it felt like that some of the tunes flowed into each other.
yeah, I think so.
I always liked.
And
when they do that.
stylistically, Jeff, I mean, I think without any question, and I'm sure many people will argue, he's the greatest rock guitar player to ever live. And part of the reason I think that is because he could play just about anything. Like, he loved rockabilly when he was a kid, and he learned all that stuff, that Cliff Gallup stuff, and Les Paul. And I saw him play on a tribute to Les Paul, and he's playing exactly the style of Les Paul back from the 50s. And Jeff Beck very famously hardly ever used a pick, but he did on the Les Paul tunes because that's how he could sound like Les Paul. But he could play that, he could play country sound and stuff, he could play beautiful ballads, he could, rock your socks off with tunes like Big Block and things like that. He could do literally just about anything. And
He's got 8 Grammys. He's been in
Yeah.
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice.
Yeah.
With the Yardbirds and by himself for his solo stuff.
This morning, I happened to watch the clip of him playing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction with Jimmy Page. And first they did Beck's Bolero, and then they go into Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin. And the story was they're riding on the artist's elevator down to the stage to perform Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing in Madison Square Garden, jam-packed with whatever, 25,000 people. And Tal Wilkenfeld, the bass player, asked about Jimmy's guitar, and he said, "Oh, this is my Fender Electric 12-string. This is the guitar I played Immigrant Song on." And Tal goes, "Oh, we should do that one." So they did it cold. They just
Wow.
went right from Beck's Bolero into the Immigrant Song. I mean, that is
a little talent.
confident and audacious.
Yes.
So
Let's have a run through at least.
yeah, I
Let's
mean,
make
it's like
sure we're on the
wild.
same chords. Here's Jeff Beck with Jan Hammer Group, and this is the one that I think is live.
It
I
is.
really love this record. This
It is
one
live,
is
yeah,
a
and
lot of fun.
It is really good.
So, big recommendation for that one from both of us. And this is a little later, there and back. And the backs got me confused a little bit. They should do this to mess me up, and it worked. Star Cycle.
Yeah, so in the 80s and 90s, Jeff, he played on a bunch of people's records. He played with Roger Waters and
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart. They had a
big hit with that.
People Get Ready,
Right.
which is
Mayfield.
a really great tune. Yeah, Curtis Mayfield.
Mayfield, yeah.
And then he released albums like this There and Back and things. But then somewhere in the early 2000s, he got a new manager who basically thought Jeff was underappreciated, I believe correctly. So he started pushing him to do, like he did the Live at Ronnie Scott's, which is a little jazz club in London. And he did that, and they filmed it and then released it as a DVD. And
Is that the ones with the really young bass player?
yeah, Tal Wilkenfeld,
Okay.
Australian. She's about 22 or 3 when they did that, but she looks like she's about 16, And Vinnie Colaiuto, who had played with all kinds of people, notably Frank Zappa.
That's what I was thinking. I've heard that in a song.
Yeah, and he had a bunch of guest artists. He had Eric Clapton came and played with him, and Imogene Heap sang with him on a couple tunes. And so I was fortunate enough to see Jeff Beck, gosh, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. And Champ here, and I saw him on the same bill with ZZ Top up at the Saint Michel Winery,
Hmm.
and
Great night.
yeah, every time I saw him, he just blew my mind, and he's one of those guys that you could tell is very confident, but he is pretty humble, really. I mean, I think honestly, a lot of good musicians are because they know how hard it is, and there's a lot of talent out there, and sometimes not all the talent doesn't always rise to the top and succeed. But anyway, I always enjoyed him, and he was kind of a funny guy, So
Yeah, but I don't remember him being one of those that was like a real showman as far as talking to the audience
no,
and
he
really
doesn't. He hardly talked at all,
yeah,
which is
just
just fine by me.
let me play my guitar and you guys
Yeah.
enjoy it. And we did. It was a great night. Well, I don't have anything more. I don't have any more vinyl. I might have some other CDs that I've picked up
Can
over the
I
years.
can I say something else?
Please.
So the last time I saw him was in the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles, which is a fantastic old restored theater built, I don't know, 100 and some years ago. And Johnny Depp came out and played with him because they had released an album together. And it was actually, I didn't know how that was going to go, but Johnny Depp was not he didn't walk out and go, "I'm Johnny Depp." He just came out and they started playing, and it was really good. And he had his drummer with him named Annika Niles, who's a German woman who this year is the one that's subbing in, or I guess you can't say subbing in, for Neil Peart
Yeah.
because he's dead, but she's playing with Rush,
Right.
and she's phenomenal. And it was a great show, and it was, really. And at the time, he was 78 years old or something. And I went with a buddy of mine that's built guitars for me and stuff. He's a fine guitar player himself. And that was in November, I think. And I was actually on a plane in, I believe, early January. Just gotten on the plane, so I hadn't gone to airplane mode yet. Mm-hmm. And this same buddy texted me and said, Jeff died. And I was like, what? Because he was a very healthy guy. He was a vegetarian for decades and all this. But he got, I think, what is it, spinal meningitis.
That sounds right.
And he died in 2 or 3 days. He's complained to his wife, I have a headache. And then apparently that thing, they can do a few things, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So, but I'll close and say that, again, one of the reasons that I really admired Jeff was he just was continually innovating. And, he was always changing what he played, but he never abandoned his old stuff. He would still play his other stuff, but he was always experimenting with different sounds and all kinds of amazingly innovative things. And I always felt like it's such a loss that Jimi Hendrix died so young, because I feel like Jimi Hendrix would have kind of done the same thing that Jeff Beck did. I mean, he was already going in a new direction at the time of his death. And so I've always thought that the two of them, who had met each other early on, but I always thought that, Jeff and Jimmy would have had sort of parallel careers of continuing to push the envelope and see what's what. And,
Well, most musicians I find are always trying to break out. They get pigeonholed in whatever genre is what someone's labeled them with, and it's like, you know what? I want to try maybe some sitar thrown in here, or I want to try some jazz sounds in here, and it's hard to break the ice and knock down the walls and go, hey, I'm going to do it all and enjoy it. Actually, I think there was one record that Jeff Beck had called Workshop or something like that. And I think that's the way he was thinking. It's a workshop. Let's try new things and see what happens.
Yeah, he loved cars. Another reason I like him. And he did most of the work himself. Yeah, he loved American hot rods because he grew up in the 50s and loved the American hot rod movies. And He did a lot of the work himself. There's a great documentary about him that was filmed not that long ago. And most of the interview they have with him, he's in his shop putting a water pump on a flathead Ford V8 while he's talking about his career, you know. So, you know, it's a pretty interesting. He wanted to buy the 32 Ford from American Graffiti, the yellow one, you know, but it got sold and it kind of made him mad. So he replicated it. He built a replica of it from just looking at pictures
Oh my.
to get all the dimensions correct and everything. And so he built one that's exactly like the one in the movie. And you know, so yeah, he's quite a character. And so you know, it's a bummer that we lost him, but he had a long and unbelievably prolific career, and I'm so grateful that I got to see him so many times. So you know,
Well,
check it out.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc. Was wonderful. A fun exploration on Jeff Beck. And we'll catch you all next time, and we appreciate it.